Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Woodstock City Council, November 16th, 2023. Tonight, we had no closed sessions. We'll read openings. This hybrid meeting is being held in person here in council chambers and electronically in accordance with section 238, subsection 3.3 of the Municipal Act and section 16.6.24 of the City of Woodstock Procedure Bylaw. This meeting is being live streamed to the city's YouTube channel and a recording will be posted on the city's website following the meeting. An agenda of the meeting can be found on the agendas, meetings, and minutes page of the city's website. And seeing as no one is virtual tonight, we're all in attendance for council. So we're going to jump into this. As mentioned, no closed sessions tonight. Are there any disclosure of pecuniary interests? Councillor Leatherbarrow?
I, Councillor Kate Leatherbarrow, declare the following potential direct pecuniary interest. Agenda item number 9A. Subject matter is Zen N 8-23-13 application for zone changes. Anjoka, pardon me, I think I said that wrong. Holdings Inc., 815 Juliana Drive. And the general nature of this is I own and operate a business in the immediate vicinity of the subject property.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none. Any disclosure of new business? Not aware of any. Matters arising from the minutes. And now the minutes. Councillor Schanberg.
Yeah, moved by Councillor Schattenberg, seconded by Councillor Tate, that the minutes of the regular meeting of Woodstock City Council held on November 2nd, 2023, and the minutes of the special meeting of Woodstock City Council held on November 9th, 2023 be adopted.
Thank you. Any questions or concerns with that? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those in favor, sorry, none opposed, carried. Next up, additions to the agenda. Councillor Schanberg.
Moved by Councillor Schattenberg, seconded by Councillor Wismer Van Meer, that the following items be added to the agenda. Correspondence item 10B, Lauren Barclay, response to petition to amend Municipal Code Chapter 0232, foul pigeons. Correspondence item 10C, Downtown Woodstock BIA, request for 3-hour parking. Correspondence item 10D, Oxford County Safe and Well Oxford Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan, gender-based violence. And bylaw number 9645-23, a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 8626-10 as amended, additional residential units or ARUs.
Thank you. Any questions or concerns with those? Seeing none, all those in favor? None opposed. Next up, no presentations or delegations this evening. Of course, we do have some consideration of planning reports. Mr. Gilbert? Or Miller, Justin, I'm looking at your sign. Justin, sorry about that.
If you stick with Eric, then he'll get all the blame for that. So good evening, council, staff, members of the public. The first application we have tonight is ZN 8-2313 in the name of Anjoka Holdings Inc. The subject lands are described as Lot 8, Plan 1654, Part 2, 41R 2336 in the city of Woodstock. The lands are located on the north side of Juliana Drive between Norwich Avenue and Montclair Drive and are municipally known as 815 Juliana Drive. The subject lands are designated regional commercial node in the county's official plan, and the existing zoning is general industrial, and the proposed zoning in this application is regional commercial, which you see matches with the official plan designation. The lands to be rezoned are approximately 2,371 square meters in area and contain a 3-unit commercial development. The applicants are proposing to rezone the lands from general industrial to regional commercial with the view of attracting a new commercial tenant to vacant commercial unit in the existing structure. I understand that they have actually secured a new tenant. I don't know if they're completely moved in, but it's for the center unit in the structure. As the proposal will promote the efficient use of existing infrastructure, a mix and range of employment uses and diverse economic base, planning staff are satisfied that the proposed zoning amendment is consistent with the policies of the PPS respecting employment uses within the designated settlement area. In accordance with the official plan, although it is designated regional commercial node, this is a special area that typically permits a market study for larger retail uses. Because that doesn't meet this threshold, it's not something that's required in this case. And as such, planning staff are of the opinion that the rezoning of the subject lands to permit the full use range of C6 uses, which is the regional commercial zone, is appropriate and no further market review is required. In light of the foregoing, planning staff are of the opinion that the proposal to rezone the subject lands regional commercial zone to permit the lands to have a full use of ranges allowed in that zone is consistent with the relevant policies of VPS and maintains the intended purpose of the official plan.
Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Miller? Seeing none, looking for a motion. Councillor Tate,
I'll move that Woodstock City Council approve the application for zone change for lands described as Lot 8, Plan 1654, Part 2, 41, R23336, City of Woodstock to rezone the subject lands from general industrial zone to regional commercial zone, and further that any comments received from the public were reviewed and considered before the decision was made in relation to this planning matter.
thank you. Seconded by Councillor Lauder. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Next up, 9B ZN 8-23-11, Mr. Miller.
So as mentioned, ZN 82311 in the name of Kristen Sawatsky and Cornelius Sawatsky. Subject lands are described as Plan 427, Part Lot 9, the City of Woodstock. The property is located on the north side of Hayball Street, west of Huron Street, and is municipally known as 695 Hayball Street. The subject lands are designated low-density residential in the county's official plan, and the existing zoning on subject lands is R1, and the proposed zoning is a special residential, so special R2, in this case R241. The application for zone change proposes to rezone the subject property from residential 1 to special residential zone 2 to facilitate the construction of a duplex on the subject land. Through the review process, the requirement to implement site-specific zoning to reduce the minimum required lot area for a duplex from 540 square meters to 370 square meters, and the minimum lot frontage for duplex from 18 meters to 12 meters was identified. Planning staff are satisfied that the proposal meets the intent of the PPS in the official plan. While the proposal will introduce an alternative housing type in an existing residential neighborhood consisting predominantly of single detached dwellings, the duplex will be similar in size to the existing dwellings and will utilize the existing lot fabric. As such, staff are of the opinion that the development will not negatively impact the character of the neighborhood from a built form perspective. Further, based on a submitted sketch, staff are satisfied that parking in accordance with the requirements of the zoning bylaw can also be accommodated on site, and the additional dwelling unit is not anticipated to have an adverse effect on traffic in the area. Since Tuesday's public meeting, the applicant's agent has provided us with a sketch that I believe was circulated to council. So council has that shows sort of the height and the built form of the structure more clearly. The subject property meets the relevant provisions of the R2 zone with the exception of lot frontage and lot area. Although the applicant is utilizing the existing lot fabric and is not able to meet the lot frontage or lot area requirements, the remaining zone provisions will ensure that development is consistent with the surrounding neighborhoods in terms of height, bulk, scale, and layout. Staff are satisfied that the request is supportable as the reduced frontage of the area will not affect the ability to provide adequate setbacks, parking, drainage, grading, landscaped open space, and private amenity as shown on the sketch submitted by the applicant. Play 3, which is what I've put up there. Oh, let me close this part. Building staff have identified grading as a potential issue, and a grading plan will be required prior to the issuance of a building permit should the rezoning be approved. Two neighbors submitted emails in opposition to the proposal, and there were neighbors who also spoke at the public meeting on Tuesday. However, in light of the foregoing, planning staff are satisfied that the proposal is consistent with the policies of the provincial policy statement and meets the general intent and purpose of the official plan. As such, staff are of the opinion that the application be given favorable consideration and recommend approval.
Thank you. Any questions of the planner? Okay, seeing none, looking for a motion on the floor. Councillor Martin,
Thank you, Mayor Accioni. That Woodstock City Council approved the application for lands described as Plan 427, Part Lot 9 in the city of Woodstock to rezone the subject property from Residential Zone 1 R1 to Special Residential Zone 2 R2-41 to facilitate the construction of a duplex, and further that any comments received from the public were reviewed and considered before the decision was made in relation to this planning matter.
thank you. Looking for a seconder. Councillor Leatherborough, discussion? Councillor Lauder?
Thank you. I will not be supporting this application. The lot size and the lot frontage minimum is set out for the R2-41. Now the applicant is requesting approximately 33% reduction, 5,812 square feet to 3,982.7 square feet, and a frontage that 59 feet down to 39.4. This was the discussion that we had and density last week. And this is one of the things that I had brought up, that the zoning, the specifications are set out in the zoning, and then people's applicants start coming in and reducing and reducing. I believe in infill. I think that certainly is what we needed, as long as it can meet the specifications that's set out. And for those reasons, I won't support this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Leatherborough?
Through your worship, I appreciate Councillor Lauder's comments, as well as the neighbors that participated at our public meeting on Tuesday. I did return a call today to Esther Mueller. Unfortunately, we didn't connect. But she had suggested, a single dwelling with an additional residential unit. I do support additional residential units. After driving by and looking at the plans, as well as Mr. Burke, who submitted photos, I am supportive of this application. I think that what is before us is something that I can, again, whether it's gentle density, infill, things like that. So at the same time, I do appreciate and understand the difficulties around the neighborhood. And this is a duplex, not side by side, but one on top of each other. And I do hope to the developer and the agent that it is committed to hopefully focusing rentals for seniors, as was outlined. So if there's any moving and shaking, I hope that that is the center focus. So those are my reasons for supporting this application, but I did look at it from all angles.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Tate?
Through the chair, I also will not be supporting the application, same comments that Councillor Lauder had. And when you look at, I honestly have no idea where the cars are going to park. It's a really narrow street. And there was minimum standards put in, and now that they're asking for a change, and I just look at it and I'm not going to support it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. It's not a public meeting, sir. I'm sorry. You had your opportunity Tuesday evening to speak. So I realize that. So thank you.
Lot at stake here.
Realize that. Thank you for being here tonight. So, I guess a couple of comments. This is, in fact, the gentleman may have seen me sitting there parked today. This is one of those that in an R1 zone, which is, they're fairly small homes, nice, quiet neighborhood. But when you drive down some of the parking lots or some of the parking spaces, they're too wide already. This is where we need more housing. There's no two ways about it. If the applicant came with a 2-story house with an apartment in the basement, there's nothing we can do. It would be approved. So with the applicant with this, with a 1.5 story, this is actually going to fit in that neighborhood probably better than even what is already allowed there. And I guess for that reason, I find myself no choice. I will be supporting this because of the housing need is so much there. This is something that we're trying to get used to here as a city, and I hope the neighbors understand that there's sometimes lesser of evils, and I honestly think this is the lesser of an evils of a 1.5 story versus something larger. Anyone else before I call the vote? With that, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Next up, consideration of correspondence, 10A, Chelsea Gearlinks down. Looking for a motion? Councillor Leatherborough,
Moved by myself, Councillor Leatherborough, that Woodstock City Council refer the request from Chelsea Gearlinks down to amend municipal code chapter 0232 foul pigeons to staff for a report.
thank you. Do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Wismer Van Meer, discussion? Councillor Leatherborough?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm not sure if we can necessarily direct staff on the report, but I would like to see what other municipalities are doing in terms of, I keep saying poultry, for lack of a better word, in our backyards. Additionally, and by no fault of anyone, but this bylaw hasn't been reviewed and revised since 1994. So I do think it's good housekeeping and best practice to review this and see some of our options. Yeah, those will be my comments.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just a kind of a general comment. I know that Councillor Leatherborough and I have both been chatting with this citizen back and forth a bit. I have to agree with Councillor Leatherborough on the fact that it hasn't been looked at in a long time. It's worth looking at to see what, this individual does have a lot of ducks in their backyard. We have restrictions on how many dogs and cats and such that you can have in your house. So I think it's worth reviewing. But I also want to keep in mind that this person also needs to be considered. And I have been connecting with Southwest Public Health and getting their information and feedback and understanding kind of the environmental aspects as well. So I think there's multiple aspects of this that need to be looked at. And I hope that that's what the report can also bring back to us and not just be a one-sided view.
Thank you. Councillor Lauder.
Thank you. Through the mayor to Mr. Dahan. Could you just mention how many times that we've had issues such as this? Has there been anything recently?
Your worship, through the councillor, excuse me. The last 6 months, we've had about six our complaints about 6 different locations within the city.
Thank you. Councillor Leatherborough.
Through your worship, I don't know if this would be to the clerks, Ms. Humphreys, or to Mr. Dahan, but I'm wondering too within the report if we can look at, again, just kind of a guideline for the coops, I guess, or structures. I have had some feedbacks about potentially dilapidated coops. So I think when we're talking about density and things changing, making sure that, proximity is safe and making sure that there are some requirements so that, any type of health risk or hazard is under wraps too.
Your worship, through the councillor, excuse me, staff will take a look at that also. Also seeing what other municipalities have to say about that.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? Seeing none. All those in favor? None opposed. Carried. Next up, 10B, Lauren Barclay, response to petition. Councillor Leatherborough.
Moved by myself, Councillor Leatherborough, that Woodstock City Council received the submission from Lauren Barkley in response to agenda item 10A, petition to amend municipal code chapter 0232, foul pigeons as information.
Thank you. The seconder, Councillor Schadenberg, discussion? I think we just talked about it. All those in favor? None opposed. Carried. And next up, we have 10C, Downtown Woodstock BIA. request for 3-hour parking. Counselor Lauder,
Thank you. I'll move that Woodstock City Council authorize the increase of free parking in the area of the downtown Woodstock BIA for 2 hours to 3 hours for the month of December 2023.
thank you. Any questions? Counselor Wismer Van Meer. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Second or first. Now any questions? Or comments? No, I think this is a fantastic thing, of course. This Friday being the start of holiday seasons, always in my opinion, with the lights going on at Museum Square and of course the parade. This is fantastic to have. So thank you, staff, for bringing this forward. And with that, all those in favor? None opposed, carried. Thank you. 10D, Oxford County Safe and Well Oxford Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan, Gender-Based Violence. Counselor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Accioni. Whereas Oxford County Council approved a request to establish a Safe and Well Oxford Steering Committee as recommended in the joint Safe and Well Oxford Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan on behalf of the area municipalities to oversee the implementation of the goals and objectives established in the plan on July 4th, 2021. And whereas key priority risk themes identified within the Safe and Well Oxford Plan include mental health, affordable housing, substance misuse, equity, diversity, and inclusion. And whereas the purpose of the Safe and Well Oxford Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan is to improve the safety and well-being of community members by defining and addressing priority risks through proactive, integrative, system-wide strategies, the responsibility of which falls within the jurisdiction of the county within Oxford. And whereas the Safe and Well Oxford Steering Committee considered a resolution passed by County Council at their July 13th, 2023 meeting to refer a presentation received by County Council from Ingamo Homes in relation to gender-based violence locally for consideration throughout the implementation of the Safe and Well Oxford Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. And whereas the Safe and Well Oxford Steering Committee received a presentation and request from Domestic Abuse Response Team Oxford at their meeting held on September 14th, 2023 in relation to the need for support with resources, advocacy, education, and awareness to address gender-based violence locally. And whereas gender-based violence has been highlighted and acknowledged as a significant concern within Oxford County. Now therefore be it resolved that Woodstock City Council approve an amendment to the Safe and Well Oxford Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan to recognize gender-based violence as an additional priority risk area in the Safe and Well Oxford Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan and endorse the goals and objectives as outlined in the Safe and Well Oxford Steering Committee's correspondence dated November 3rd, 2023.
Thank you. Looking for a seconder on the motion. Counselor Leatherborough. Discussion? Counselor Leatherborough? Oh, Counselor Martin, you made the motion first.
Thank you. I appreciate that. As outlined in the motion, that there is a history to this. The Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan under the Police Act was put together in 2019. A lot of work was done throughout all of the municipalities in Oxford County, and it was decided at that time that the county would represent the collective interests of the area municipalities. And in 2019, when a lot of this work was done and the Safe and Wellbeing plan was created, intimate partner violence and gender-based violence just wasn't as prevalent and wasn't an epidemic that we're seeing today. And we want to recognize that as probably one of the unintended consequences of COVID, we have seen this incredible rise in intimate partner violence and domestic abuse. And so the Safe and Well Committee, Steering Committee wants to ensure that this is addressed in our collective plans looking forward. And so that's why this letter is brought forward today, asking for the City of Woodstock support, and all other area municipalities will be asked as well.
Thank you. Counselor Leatherborough.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and to my colleague, Councillor Martin. I actually have a few comments to make. Fully support this, and I want to note that when Ingamo Dasso, that partnership came to Woodstock City Council in July, I thank them for their efforts, and I thank everyone around this horseshoe for passing unanimously declaring intimate partner violence as an epidemic. That work and that action item under deciding that was to then connect that bridge to the Safe and Well Committee of Oxford County, which I think is really, really important. Further to that, when we decided that we would approve the mayor's task force. I believe it was at that time Councillor Tate had spoke to hoping for the task force and Safe and Well to also work together. We need that unity at all levels of government. So acknowledging that that is now happening, and I always applaud Dasso Ingamo and Oxford Dart for the work that they do. And for our viewers at home that maybe didn't read the report, Councillor Lauder and I actually briefly attended the human trafficking session after our planning meeting the other night. And I think we both found it beneficial, although we were there for a short time. But in this report, it says, the 401 corridor has been well documented as a primary route for sex traffickers to transport and sell victims of commercial sexual exploitation. Oxford County is situated at the intersection between highways 401 and 403 with a large number of hotels and motels based on servicing the 401 corridor. The combination of Oxford's rurality and isolation, along with significant traffic along the 400 series highways, make Oxford County particularly vulnerable. In addition to that, a really good friend of mine who was a counselor in Sault Ste. Marie, I think we're all aware of the tragic loss and murders that happened in Sault Ste. Marie. Their council recently passed unanimously declaring intimate partner violence as an epidemic. And Councillor Caputo specifically called on the Premier to also declare this as an epidemic. And that is also highlighted in the report, push the province of Ontario to officially recognize intimate partner violence as an epidemic, because it is that. So those would be my comments. And I'm happy to see the collaboration on this important topic.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, it's no secret. This is hits close to home with me, always have. Where I can't wear my scarf, it's way too hot underneath these lights, but I am showing my purple as much as I can here. It is an epidemic right now that's going on. We see it through police calls, everything else. We need to stand, and I really applaud the community safety well-being plan for taking this on and making sure this is part of that, and I'm supported 1,000% every time. And with that, we'll call the vote. All those in favor? That is unanimous. Carried. Thank you. Next up, we do have staff presentations. I'd ask Mr. Wojciechowski, I hope I did that right, asset management account for capital budget presentation. Arnhem, welcome. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Good evening, Your Worship and members of Council. On behalf of your administration, we are delighted to present the City Council with the staff recommended 2024 capital budget and 2025 to 2028 forecast for capital plan. This concise presentation will be a team effort. I'll provide a high-level overview of the proposed spending, and Ms. Campbell, our Director of Administrative Services, will provide detail towards the end of the presentation on the financing this proposed program. No decision is made regarding this budget at tonight's meeting, as Council is called a special budget meeting for Tuesday, November 21st, and Thursday, November 23rd, if necessary, to review the proposed budget in detail with the remainder of the administration. Budget meetings are always open to the public, and the meetings will also be live streamed for those who prefer to watch from the comfort of their own home. Even though the budget before you covers 5 years, it is important to remember that the Council will only approve projects included in the 2024 program and not the forecast years. The plan is to have the Council adopt the 2024 capital program along with any amendments at the next regular meeting of City Council on December 14th. And we will upload the proposed capital budget and related documents to the city website so the public can access it. So diving into the proposed budget, as you can see, the 2024 capital program at large, which includes the sewer and water projects that are funded by the Oxford County user fees, is just shy of the $37.8 million. And that compares with the $31.6 million from the last year and has increased over roughly $6.2 million. In a 2024 capital budget for our own purposes projects, the 2024 budget is a 30.6 million, and that's compared with about $28 million from last year. And that's an increase of about $2.6 million, which is driven by the price tag of a downtown revitalization projects, which we'll talk about a bit more later in our presentation. Now you can see in a 2025 to 2028 capital forecast plan, the total cost of all the projects, which includes the sewer and water that are again funded by the Oxford County user fees, is $235 million. Our own purpose spending of almost $200 million over 4 years represents a capital program of roughly $50 million per year. But underlying this high price tag, there are three significant projects that make up approximately $82 million of that $200 million. The first, again, being the downtown revitalization project, with an estimated cost of about $11 million in the forecast years. The second being the proposed replacement of the Civic Center Arena with a new arena at a cost of $15 million. And the third is the industrial land servicing at an estimated cost of about $56 million. Now, it is planned that the cost associated with the industrial land servicing will be financed from the industrial land sales and not from the taxpayers. In fact, there are some industrial land servicing projects that were being deferred due to insufficient funds. We need to generate those funds from the industrial land sales before we can proceed. So each of these projects in the forecast years will need to be carefully examined to ensure our financial security is not compromised. Projects may be modified, moved, or alternative financing may be proposed. So now here's the characterizations of the capital spending for 2024. We always like to look at how much of the capital program is dedicated towards maintaining and replacing our existing assets. As you can see in 2024, 72% being allocated to keep what we own in good repair versus investing in new assets. This year's ratio is not bad, as we're slightly better than the last year at 70%. Although our forecast includes a slight increase in non-growth related projects this year, it is not always possible in times of rapid growth. And talking about keeping existing assets in a state of good repair, here's the proposed road renewal program for the 2024. So the first item is road resurfacing. Road resurfacing is essentially known as the shave and pave. It's a type of work which is superficial, can only be done when underground infrastructure, such as water mains and sewer lines, are in a good condition. Road resurfacing prolongs the life of the road and is a good investment. The road reconstruction, on the other hand, is when the road cannot be rehabilitated to the road resurfacing. And it usually includes replacement or repairs to the underlying assets such as the sewer lines and water lines. The surface asphalt there, it's only for the road reconstruction projects. It is the final year of asphalt on the roads that have been reconstructed the year before. As you can see on the slide, there's a slight decrease from the 2023 to 2024 in the road reconstruction. It's mainly due to the additional road project the council approved last year. Overall, our road program is driven by our asset management plan and road needs study. And for the 2024 road reconstruction program, we have Leinster Street from Durham to Devonshire, Rathburn from Huron to Blandford, Cambridge from Warwick to Hudson, Walter from Victoria to East Park, Peel Street from Canterbury to Adelaide, and a Brand Street from Riddle to Wellington. Moving along. So here's the downtown revitalization project. This is one of the most significant items in this budget, with a total cost over the 5 years of $17 million. This cost has increased, as you can see on the slide, as the 2024 phase has been increased from 4 million to 6.5 million. This project is being financed solely by debt. And at the current interest rates, the overall total cost would be over $26 million. And it still remains to be seen whether or not there's a funding program will emerge that this project would qualify for. Moving along to the building projects. So the big item for 2024 is the expansion and renovation of the Public Works building at 1.5 million. And in 2023, the council approved funds for concept and design of this project. And in 2024, we're hoping to begin the actual work. Other projects you can see is the new generator for the Sportsplex. And there's some money allocated for the museum storage expansion study. Now, the special events office for the complex. This is a proposed project that will convert a portion of the storage room and the former skating club office space to create a consolidated office space for the special events staff. Now, for the forecast year for the building projects, the big item on the slide you can see is the potential expansion of the city hall at $4 million. Now, it remains to be seen how long we can defer this expansion. In 2023, council approved a renovation of the west end to the market building, and this work is currently ongoing. The expansion project of the city hall can be brought forward or pushed back, depending on how many years we can get out of the market center and how many staff we can fit into the building. The additional projects for forecast years is there's a multiple roofing projects sprinkled throughout the years, the expansion of the police building, and the fire department substation. In addition to those, there's proposal for the Southside Aquatic Center facility expansion and the expansion of the Public Works equipment wash building. Now we're moving to the parks and recreation projects. For 2024, you can see that a significant project is the Southside Park expansion. And this is due to the additional lands we recently acquired, which were the formerly downs of the Cedar Creek Golf Course between the Parkinson and Juliana Drive. This project will start with the installation of the bridge across the Cedar Creek, and then we'll continue with the trail development and the tree planting. Other projects include the park development in the Kingsman subdivision at $530,000, and the Cohen Fields subdivision development, which is a 2-year project. Some of it includes the master plan development and the engineering studies. Moving forward in the forecast years for the parks and recreation. As you can see, there's a few projects for the Cohen Fields. The additional of the new ball diamond, a basketball court, and the lights for the cricket pitch. And there's a few park developments proposed for over the years. The one being at the Meadow Wood Lane Park, and the new park at the former hospital site, and the park at the development on the Carnhill Road. Now, the one significant project that's not on this slide, again, is the construction of the new arena at the Cohen Fields. This project is driven by the 2021 recreational facility needs study, and it would be a replacement of the Civic Center arena at the cost of about $15 million. In 2024, we have included $40,000 for a feasibility study. I'm moving into the industrial land. So the big ticket item you see there is the Northeast Industrial Park development at $56 million. Again, the financing is proposed to come from the land sales. And the work will only proceed as funds become available in the Industrial Land Reserve Fund. We estimate that we need approximately $20 million from the current Patula Avenue Industrial Park in order to use the seed sufficient investment in the Northeast Industrial Park. At which point, we can start selling the land at the Northeast Industrial Park to continue financing the balance of that $56 million. Now, the intersection improvement of the Patula and Highway 59 at $3.2 million, that is the realignment of the intersection and moving the intersection with the Highway 59 further south and closing the current intersection. This is the requirement of the Ministry of Transportation due to the proximity of that intersection to the Highway 401 interchange. And it is needed in order to continue developing lands further down the Patula Avenue. And the Cohen Fields future development of $6 million, that's mainly to construct a road through the Cohen's Fields for the future use. Now we move into the fire department projects. So the one big project for the 2024 is the SCBA replacement. And that's the self-containing breathing apparatuses that firefighters use. The one big item for the forecast years is the replacement of the aerial fire apparatus at $2.5 million. And then the cost of the apparatus has increased since prior years. The additional projects is the radio replacements, which is a multi-year project of $810,000, and the radio infrastructure tower, or $500,000. The one project you see there is the emergency command unit. This is a joint cost project with the Woodstock Police Services. And the actual vehicle itself will provide a mobile base for operations in the case of emergency. And the last project, or second last on that slide, is the new fire engine that's listed at $680,000. Now, currently, that's representing the development charges funds that are available. However, at the current market prices, that engine would cost about $1.8 million. And it's yet to be seen how the difference will be financed. And with that, I will turn it over to Ms. Campbell to cover the financing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Your Worship and members of council. As Mr. Wurtzkowski mentioned, I'm going to provide the additional details on the financing of this 2024 capital budget. Just before I get into the financing, I want to speak briefly on the early pages of the preliminary capital budget document, specifically related to the asset management plan in conjunction with the capital budget. We included some report cards on our core assets for the first time last year, and have provided updated report card information in this year's preliminary budget based on additional work and studies that were done on the assets during the past year. A bridge study was completed in 2023, which provided additional replacement values on our bridge infrastructure. And that's increased significantly year over year from about $9.5 million last year to $31.6 million currently, which is a 230% increase. The replacement value on the stormwater network also increased by about 40%, and the road network was slightly more than a 10% increase. The replacement value is changing as they do. It's a result of our data improving through updated studies, and also reflects some inflation and assumption of assets through new subdivisions. But the moving targets that we're dealing with highlight the fact that like the difficulties that we encounter when we're trying to determine priorities for our budget dollars, as well as managing the annual infrastructure spending gap. And the infrastructure gaps have changed year over year. They reflect the construction work that's been done over the past year and as well as updated costs to replace what we currently include in our inventories. It's difficult to close the gap, which is really what is envisioned for our asset management plans, but we do continue to look for ways to increase our dollars that are available for capital work. The electronic version of the preliminary budget information, which was provided to council yesterday, and it's also posted on the city's website. It includes some links to the 2022 asset management plan, and as well as links, a link to some of the other plans and studies that staff have used in order to support the AMP, and council's encouraged to become familiar with those documents. The asset management plan is currently being updated again to include all of the city's assets, and the next council approved AMP is due by the 1st of July in 2024. So as indicated in the current report cards that are in the preliminary budget, the core assets do continue to be reported as good. However, the current funding levels are not showing to be sufficient to maintain this grade. And I'll leave it at that for now with respect to the AMP, as council will be receiving an update from the engineering department in the next year when we start provide the next asset management plan. We've also continued to experience some supply chain issues, particularly with respect to delivery dates on any kind of vehicle. We're also still having some difficulty in finding contractors to do some work. Inflation is subsiding, but it continues to be an issue, and cost increases continue to erode the buying power of our capital dollars. We saw a reduction in 2023 in the number of reports that came forward to council requesting additional funding. Sometimes that was due to a scope reduction. However, council will see that there's a number of 2023 projects that are going to be included on the carryover report that's coming at the next council meeting in December. In some instances, the work's ongoing. They just need some time to get the work finished. But in some cases, the projects did not move forward as there wasn't enough funding. And you will see that there's additional asks for money in this 2024 budget. And finally, in 23, we did request or recommend that council contribute the full 2022 operating budget surplus to the capital program. And all indications this year will be a similar recommendation coming forward should we have a 2023 operating surplus. So with respect to the financing and the specifics of the 2024 capital budget, that's Mr. Wojciechowski mentioned, the total is almost $38 million. It represents a year-over-year increase of slightly less than $6 million, and our own purpose funding is about $2.7 million increased over last year. The capital out of revenue contribution of $4.3 million is what we typically refer to that as the capital out of revenue, and that is the funding that is raised specifically in our revenue fund budget and goes directly into the capital program. We use a formula to determine that number. And we have a base amount that we've been funding. We increase that by the assessment increase each year. We add a little tiny bit from the Ontario Municipal Partnership Fund, which is decreasing each year. And then we also contribute a portion of the Ontario Lottery and Gaming Commission Fund. And that has increased by $200,000 since the completion of the Woodstock General Hospital commitment. The reserve and reserve fund money, it varies from year to year. This year, we're proposing $13.8 million. That compares to $11.5 million last year. And really, it just basically matches the various funds and their uses with the capital projects that we are recommending to council. We did include in the preliminary capital budget booklet, I think it's on page 18 in the first part, a listing of the commonly used reserve and reserve funds, as well as the projections over the next 5 years. These numbers are conservative and they're very preliminary. We still have to complete our 2023 capital financing and our carryovers. 2024, as you can see, is fully funded based on these preliminary estimates. However, there's evidence of shortfalls occurring in the forecast years for several of the funds as early as 2025. So there will be refinement required in the forecast years. We propose that we'll have final year-end reserve and reserve fund balances to council in early Q2 2024. The debt proposed is $8.8 million, and I will circle back to that on the next slide. We're anticipating $7.2 million from the county for the various water main and sewer projects that will be done in conjunction with the road reconstruction projects that are proposed in the budget. And finally, there's grants of about $3.7 million. 3 grants this year included in this number: the Canada Community Building Fund, which was formerly known as Federal Gas Tax, the Dedicated Gas Tax for Public Transportation, which we use for transit, and the Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund, which we refer to as OSIF. There are some other grants that we're still currently working with, but those projects are already approved, so they're not appearing on this list and won't be included for financing purposes. Typically, we will receive our notification on the dedicated gas tax in early February. And then OSIF and Canada Community Building Fund, we are anticipating allocations hopefully in the next couple of weeks. And we have included our best estimate of what the grants will be in this budget. And should we experience a significant reduction, then we will have to come back to council. Moving forward into the forecast years, the Canada Community Building Fund is showing a shortfall in 2025 and the dedicated gas tax in 2027. With respect to the debt, it's always an important tool that we use to finance our facilities and infrastructure improvements that are longer term in nature. It's a financing tool that recognizes that the benefits associated with the project extend for many years and should probably not be fully borne by the current taxpayer. At this point, we're estimating 2023 outstanding debt will be $15,600,000 at the end of this year. That's principal and interest combined, with principal only of $13.34 million. There's still 2023 debt to be issued. It was approved throughout this council year, and there's $14.6 million that remains outstanding and will be issued as the projects approach their completion dates. The current budget 2024 is including $8.8 million, and the forecast for 25 to 28 is $42.5 million. The 2024 $8.8 million includes $800,000 for roads, $1.5 million for the public works office expansion, and the balance of $6.5 million is for the downtown revitalization project. And at this point, that's the only funding available for that project. Included in the forecast years, there's a number of large projects. One, as Mr. Wojtkowski mentioned, was the replacement arena of single ice pad is $15 million because it's not because it's a replacement. There's no other source of fund for that. Continuation of the downtown revitalization project goes in, I think, the next 3 years, 25 to 27, at another $11 million. City Hall expansion, a fire substation, and the addition to the police station. So the bulk of those projects highlight the fact that Woodstock is indeed a growing city, and we need to expand it with some of our facilities. All of these projects will require debt financing should we choose to move forward with them, as that's the only option that's available to us. Each year, the province puts out an annual debt repayment limit for each municipality in Ontario. And ours is slightly less than 15.6 million, and it's based on our 2021 financial information return data. The limit gets updated each time that we do a debenture application to make sure that we're staying within our limit. And our limit does indicate that we have quite a capacity to issue significant debt. And any debt issued within this budget and forecast keeps us within our limit. However, where the impact of the debt is felt is in our operating budget by way of increasing repayments of principal and interest. And as the interest rate rises, that cost increases. Since our last capital budget deliberation, the Bank of Canada has continued to raise interest rates, and there's been 4 increases since October 22. There's one final 23 announcement to come yet in December. While the increases did slow down in 2023, we started the year at 4.25% and we are now at 5%. There's been some speculation recently that maybe interest rates will start to be cut beginning mid-2024. However, any estimates that we've included in this budget are based on the current rates as they are available to us. What I used in these estimates is 4.96% for a 10-year debenture and 5.19% for 20 years. Our actual borrowing rate at the end of 22 was 4.24, and at the end of 21 was 2.42 for a 10-year debenture. So unfortunately, as the rates have risen, it does have a significant impact on our debt and the cost of our capital program. At the end of the forecast, if all the debt is issued as estimated within this budget, the repayment rate will be $7.67 million, and that compares to $2.4 million currently in 2023. So that is a $5 million increase, and the majority of that would have to come from the levy. So with that, I'd like to thank you for your attention, and I'm just going to remind council that our detailed discussion on this budget will be Tuesday, November 21st. It starts at 5, and we'll have all our staff on hand in order to answer any questions that council may have. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. Any high-level questions? Again, recognizing we're going to go into detail on Tuesday, but any high-level questions tonight from council? Councillor Martin?
Mayor Accioni, I appreciate that. I have a couple of questions. I think I heard you say that supply chain issues in our current 2023 fiscal year have caused some delays on some projects. And did I hear you say that we'll see a carryover report in December?
Yes.
And will that impact this at all?
No, your worship, through to Councillor Martin. The carryover report always comes at the last meeting of the year. And what it does is we review any projects that were started in 2023 or we have a contract signed that the work is to be done, but it's not completed. So we just carry over the funds from 2023, and that is already all accounted for in any of the projections that we have done within that budget that you're looking at now.
And could I ask a follow-up question? Thank you. You said that our debt limit is, and I wrote down 15.6 million, but I'm not sure if you said 50.6.
Yes, your worship, through to Councillor Martin, it's the annual repayment limit. So it is 15.615. Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Campbell. Thank you, Mr. Wojciechowski. Thank you so much. Inflation's definitely been tough on residents as well as city departments. So I just want to say thank you to all city departments for putting forward what they think is the most important things for council to decide on and priorities from everyone. So I do not need a motion. No resolution is required, as this matter will be considered at the special budget meeting on November 21st, 2023. Again, that's next Tuesday at 5 p.m. And again, at the regular council meeting on December 14th, 2023. Moving along. There's no more mayor's reports or councillor reports tonight, but we do have department reports. Administrative Services 14A1, Statement of Revenue and Expenditure and Statement of Capital Expenditures till the end of October. Looking for a motion, Councillor Schanberg.
Yes, motion that Woodstock City Council receive the statement of revenue and expenditure and the statement of capital expenditures for the period ending October 31st, 2023 as information.
Thank you. Looking for a seconder on that. Councillor Wismer Van Meer. Any questions or comments? Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Accioni. I had a couple of questions, and I guess they're kind of based on capital projects that maybe you sort of answered this question already that are in the works. So I noticed that under 310 new buildings, 13546 Southgate Center and renovation and addition. We've only spent 2.79% of the budget allocated in 2023. There's still 7.55 million remaining. Do we know with 6 weeks left in the year what the status of that project is? And I can't imagine that it would get started, let alone completed in 2023. Does that fall into that carry forward of what you just referred to, Diane, Ms. Campbell, in your presentation?
Yes, your worship, through to the councillor's question, that will be on the carryover report. I believe that project is almost ready to go to tender, but it won't really be started in 23.
Grandpa DeHaan is shaking his head. Yeah. Counselor Martin?
Then just to follow up on that, I noticed then that out of all of the 2023 capital, and I went through, department by department, we've only spent, and I realize this is October 31st and there's still 8 weeks left in the year from this report. We've only spent 27.61% of the overall capital budget as of October 31st. And there's lots of departments that have only spent 5%, 6%, 4%, 14%. And only one department actually had projects that went over budget. But which is completely understandable given the nature of infrastructure and roads. But I'm just wondering, what is the explanation for, we had a $27.9 million capital budget plus carryover plus additional approvals throughout the year. And at this point, we've only spent 27% of the capital budget.
Yes, your worship, through to the councillor's question. A number of these are going to be carried over. There's a lot of equipment and things that are on order that are not here yet. But if you have a specific project, it needs to be directed to the department as opposed to us. I don't know what the status is of the various projects at any given time.
I just went through line by line. New building and repair had a list of 43 projects, and only 13 of those projects actually have expenses attributed to them. Are 20 projects, 30 projects. Is it that difficult to get a hold of contractors to implement those construction projects? I realize it's a very general question. I can go line by line. I don't want to go line by line. I'm just wondering, is this normal that we get very back end loaded at the end of a fiscal year with millions and millions and millions of dollars not spent and dozens of projects still at 0% spent on their capital project?
Your worship, through the councillor's question, I'll just point out the first column, 2023 capital budget, is actually what we approved in 2023, similar to what we're talking about tonight. The prior year carryovers are projects that staff have requested the money be carried over for various reasons. If they're going to, sometimes they're going to consolidate a project, or sometimes they aren't sure if they're finished or not. We tend to go through that prior carryover column each year, and then we will, if the funds are no longer required, we actually release those funds. They're committed at the moment, and if the project is not requiring the funds anymore, then we do release them. But with respect to some of the projects, there's not enough money, and so you'll see that they're going to be carried over, and there's another request in this budget so that the job can be completed. There's any number of reasons really why they aren't, why they're not all being spent, but.
Okay, thank you. If you don't mind, I'll book a time to come and sit with you and go through them line by line so that we don't take up the public's time. But I think going through this, I'm shocked at how many projects appear on paper to have not even gotten underway at this point in the third week of November.
Counselor Tate?
Just through the chair, maybe to the CAO, because that's kind of, you're insinuating something that's not happening. So this happens every year. So if the CAO wants to comment on it, because quite often we assigned money to it or a project, but we don't do it for years to come. That's the way the budget is done. So if the CAO wants to comment on it.
Your worship, through to councillors Tate and councillors Martin, I think part of the issue, as Mrs. Campbell's pointed out, is the nature of the capital report is capturing the prior year carryovers, which are not items that are within the 2023 approved budget. So these are historical that are still in process, as well as the 2023. And so you're getting a picture, a mixed picture of actually work in progress. When you're talking about vehicle, we just had a report to council not that long ago about the lead time for delivery of garbage packers can be at 2.5 years from order. So it's a reflection of the state of the economy in some cases. In other cases, when you're looking at a building project and a building program, for example, $7 million Southgate project, of which 2.6% has been spent in architectural design, because that project is getting very close to being tender issued. That's when the dollars flow. But there's a tremendous amount of work that has to happen to get you to that tender stage. So it will take an entire budget year to actually get the tender documents to be able to proceed to construction. So if you're going to look at actual dollars spent within the year, many of these projects just can't be completed within that calendar year. And that's an example. So $7 million is going to go unspent under the Southgate project because we don't have a construction contract signed at this point. That will continue into 2024, and payment certificates will probably continue into 2025 before that project is substantially complete. That's the nature of some of the work that we do. It just can't be compacted within 12 months. And this is why we have work in progress. The capital carryover report, which is an annual report, recognizes that work in progress is always going to be a significant amount of our capital program.
I can certainly say, going through all these budgets the last few years, we've seen the spacing has definitely gotten worse, to Councillor Martin's points, but there's no question timing now. We went from 3 to 6 weeks on a vehicle to 12 to 24 months, for an example. So once that money is set aside, it does sit there. So the numbers are getting higher and longer for sure.
Yeah, I guess that was my ultimate question is it supply chain related? Is it contractors that are so in demand that they don't even have the capacity to bid on projects? Is this compounding year over year? Is it getting worse? And do we need to prepare ourselves for the same thing, happening in 2024, 2025, as we start looking at these numbers for next year, was where I was going with my question.
I'm sure that's on all of staff's mind every time they put a project forward, because it is taking longer and longer. But if that's okay, if we're done, any other comments or questions on that? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor? None opposed, carried. Thank you. Next up, engineering, the 14B1 2023 Tour of Lights. Now this one is exciting. Councillor Leatherborough.
Moved by myself, Councillor Leatherborough, that Woodstock City Council direct staff to take the necessary steps to resume the Tour of Lights program with ticket sale proceeds to go to the United Way and donation proceeds to go to the Salvation Army.
Thank you. Looking for a seconder, Councillor Lauder. Discussion or questions? Councillor Leatherborough.
Through your worship, I think it's great that this is returning and multiplying in seats for people to participate. I was just wondering the difference between, obviously, the ticket sale proceeds go to the United Way and then donation proceeds. Mr. DeHaan, I'm not sure if I'll volley this to you. So do people buy tickets and then donate on top of that?
Your worship, through the councillor, that is correct. Yes. We've traditionally, it's kind of a mash of two reasons. We've traditionally always sold the tickets and given and donated the money to United Way. However, we've always also had donation boxes on the bus during Christmas season, even during the day. So riders can do, well, actually they had to pay the 3 tickets, but they could also do the donation when they do the tour.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Councillor Lauder or questions?
If no question, it's just a comment. I just want to thank the transit department for doing this again, bringing us back, and I hope I get a ticket. I've never gone on it and I always said I wanted to. So hopefully this year I'll be able to get a ticket. Before they were all sold out. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe we can reserve some tickets right now from transit. I too am very excited about this. So just for the general public that hasn't read it, the proposed, what we're talking about right now is for Sunday service, December 10th and the 17th. And we've gone from approximately 360 seats to about 1,200 seats. We've gone from 2 buses to 10 buses now. Instead of doing it during the week when buses are obviously going, now we're going to use our buses. So I think this is a brilliant idea. I thank staff very much for bringing this forward and reintroducing this. And I'll say it again, reserve us some seats because I'll definitely buy some tickets. Yeah. You want cash now? Councillor Leatherborough.
Through your worship, just one more comment to Councillor Lauder. I took my kids once, and they were not sitting when that bus moved. So I would encourage families that are going to participate to have your kids bums in the seats, as they say, for safety purposes. But really looking forward to this event, and I hope you get a chance to go.
Yes, done this many times and continue. And my daughter at 20 years old is still excited to do it again this year. So I'm excited for that. Any other questions or comments before I call the vote? Seeing none, all those in favor? None opposed, carried. Welcome back, 2023 Tour Lights. Cultural Services, 14C.1, Woodstock Art Gallery 4th floor renovation. Another good news story. Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council authorized the mayor and clerk to sign the funding contribution agreement with the Government of Canada for the renovation of the gallery's 4th floor.
Thank you. Looking for a seconder, Councillor Lauder. Ms. Reed, please, welcome if you have any questions, since, yes.
You guys have been asking about this for a long time, so I'm very, very excited to announce to the Honorable Mayor Accioni and to City Councilors that it's an understatement that I'm thrilled to present this important opportunity to you all. And to go to Councillor Martin's question, this is number one of those reasons why things get carried over, because you're waiting for the money to come in. I'd also like to acknowledge and thank Aaron Dawson, who's our WAG Advisory Board Treasurer, for being here in support tonight for this announcement. As per the council report, the gallery is seeking authorization to countersign the contribution funding agreement for almost $1 million for the renovation of the gallery's 4th floor. Under the Green and Inclusive Community Buildings, the GICB program, the Government of Canada will invest up to 80% of the total eligible expenditures of this 4th floor renovation project. And I should mention that there's a tiny typo in the report in front of you. It should read that the funding is up to a maximum federal contribution of $740,000, not $904,000. The Green and Inclusive Communities Buildings Program is a national merit program that has the objective of improving the availability and condition of community buildings in Canada, in Canadian communities experiencing higher needs and who are currently underserved. The program advances the government's climate priorities by improving energy efficiencies, by reducing greenhouse emissions, and enhancing the climate resiliency of community buildings. In September 2021, I submitted an application on behalf of the gallery to this grant program to fund the renovation of the gallery's 4th floor. This grant application actually is based off of an unsuccessful ISIP application that I submitted in 2019. And as many of you know, I'm very tenacious and don't take no for an answer. So I can't express to you how appreciative I am that finally all of this hard work has come to fruition. The plan is to create a multi-purpose flex-use space that will support additional arts educational programming, as well as facility rentals, both of which are revenue generating opportunities for the gallery. Once completed, the renovation and rehabilitation of the fourth floor will transform the Woodstock Art Gallery, will transform this particularly vacant and unused warehouse space into a vital and active education and cultural programming space, offering many benefits to the various segments of our community. Over the last 5 years, the gallery has been successful in launching programs that enrich and enhance the lives of seniors and youth through intergenerational learning and the experience of making art. The gallery has also provided a safe space for many LGBTQ2+ youth, and providing these young people with meaningful employment and volunteer experience. Additionally, the demographic composition of the city of Woodstock has changed significantly, with many newcomers as our new neighbors. And this newly expanded space will allow the education department to grow and expand the gallery's offerings, both cost recovery and free, to persons with disability, as well as people who are experiencing poverty, and also offering appropriate washroom facilities to assist in participation. All in all, the expansion on the fourth floor will certainly provide the art gallery with an opportunity to serve all of our communities better by improving access and fulfilling the gallery's mandate in fostering the well-being of our community by preserving our local artistic heritage and cultivating new expressions and experiences of art. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Reed? Councillor Lauder.
Thank you. I just want to express my thanks to Mary for the hard work that she has done in getting this grant. I think last year about this time or in December, we had pretty good hint that this was coming, but we had to keep quiet about it until now. I'll make it public. And I just want to thank the staff for all the work that they do there and making the gallery such a success. So great work, and we're looking forward to this to take place.
Thank you so much.
Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just a general comment to Ms. Reed. I said to a fellow councillor earlier this week that Ms. Reed is like the gem of the city, the rock star of grant writing. So I think it's I applaud you, give you a standing ovation for what you've done. I think you've not only on this, but what you've done for the art gallery in general. Just a kind of a quick question as well. You know, we might be disappointed to see the lovely decals from the old gym being covered up there. You know, there's some lovely resemblance of He-Man up there, but what you did kind of touch a little bit, but what else are you hoping to offer in the fourth space? Is there going to be rental opportunities for the community? Kind of what's the vision? Because I know you've got lots of great visions going on.
Sure, absolutely. So the idea through to the worship to the councillor's question, the idea is to really mimic what's going on the third floor, but to be able to expand because of the limits in terms of our staff. If we set up for an education program, we don't have the resources to be able to change over the space for a rental. To have that additional space upstairs means that we can be able to do that type of work, and then it doesn't impact where we're putting away, taking out, putting away constantly. So the intent is that the front part of the space will be that multi-purpose flex space. Also looking at the opportunity of bringing back the See You at the Movies film program as well too, which a number of people have been asking about. The center space would be storage and a proper catering kitchen. Right now we have a very small and hot staff kitchen, which is not very conducive to events at all. And then the back area will be offices that in terms of the future growth of the gallery, but also offering that to other community groups to be able to rent until such time the gallery is ready to move into that space.
Thank you. Councillor Leatherborough.
Through your worship, congratulations. This is so exciting. I did email Mary yesterday to say congratulations, and also for my notes and for the viewers at home, again, page 20 and 21 of the agreement, which you've done great highlighting. It really speaks to how unique the Woodstock Art Gallery is. And my mother would recommend you frame it. And so I really, really applaud you for all of the hard work that you've done. And it just really shone through with this end result. And I am so excited for See You at the Movies to come back one day. So thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Tate.
Through the chair to the director, and I just have to applaud you once again. as everyone acknowledges the grant writing, but just for the public to be aware, it's easy just to go to the taxpayer, but there was an event, it was a taste of art. And goes to the resourcing of Miss Reed, that instead of hiring security, she was able to go to Fanshawe, and they have all the kids that go through Police Foundation have to do charity work. They have to do volunteer work. And she was able to get all the volunteers to come, and it was not paid. So not only are you amazing at grants, but you're very resourceful, not having to spend taxpayer money. So we are very, very thankful and glad that we have you.
Thank you very much. Spending a year, my entire career dedicated to the arts. You learn how to work both sides. So thank you very much, everyone.
Well, thank you. I'll certainly echo that with everything you've been doing. So keep it up along with your staff, recognizing you've got a great team. So thank you. And the board, of course, for the backing of it. And with that, looking for no further questions, I'm assuming. Okay, all those in favor? None opposed. That is carried. Fourth floor, here we come. Nothing from Parks and Rec, nothing from Economic Development or clerk, or sorry, there is clerks, of course, the council schedule. Looking for a motion. Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Moved by myself that the Woodstock City Council meetings dates for the months of July, August, and December 2024 and January 2025 be scheduled for 7 p.m. on the following dates: Thursday, July 11th, 2024, Thursday, August 15th, 2024, Thursday, December 12th, 2024, and Thursday, January 16th, 2025.
Excellent, thank you. Looking for a seconder. Councillor Lauder, discussion? Seeing none, I'll just simply say now that we've got our schedule for next year and what days, of course, those months we only have the one meeting, so now we can plan holidays and everything else around that so we don't miss any of council. And with that, all those in favor? None opposed, carried. Nothing from the CAO's office, human resources, nothing from fire, nothing from public works or IT tonight. No special committee advisory task force reports, no notice of motions or new business, but we do have draft bylaws. Councillor Schattenberg.
Yes, moved by Councillor Schattenberg, seconded by Councillor Lauder, that the following bylaws be given a first and second reading. 9642-33, a bylaw to amend bylaw number 4975-74, which was a bylaw to provide for the naming of certain highways within the city of Woodstock. 9643-23, a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 8626-10 as amended, ZN 8-23-13, 815 Juliana Drive. 9644-23, a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 8626-10 as amended, for ZN 8-23-11-695 Hayball Street. 9645-23, a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 8626-10 as amended, additional residential units.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's carried, none opposed. Councillor Schattenberg.
Moved by Councillor Schattenberg, seconded by Councillor Lauder, that the following bylaws be given a third and final reading: 9642-33 through to 9645-23.
Thank you. Any other last chance, questions, or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that is carried. And that is it for tonight. So tonight we are going to start with Councillor Schattenberg, since you're on a roll.
And I always like to talk about sports. There's first, there'll be a sports item, Silver Stick qualifying tournament. I mentioned that last meeting that there was two tournaments essentially going on at the same time. It's going on again this weekend. Now it's under 10 and under 12 at the Reeves Community Complex and Silver Stick qualifying. So that's tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. A reminder, the Woodstock Museum National Historic Site has an escape room promotion going on. ALF is the theme this year. November 17th and 18th, that's this weekend, is basically the best time. They're saying to book your 1 hour time space with your friends, because it's been very popular so far. But to find out other available times, you can certainly call the museum at 8411. The museum also has the Spirit of Christmas Tour of Homes returning. That's on Saturday, November 25th, from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. There's four houses, I should say, on the list. The tickets are $20 each. And maybe the most important of the bunch, not that there's a favor of the four, but 145 to later should be a fun place to visit. That's what's historically kind of known at Woodstock as Dr. Headley's home, and that's going to be nicely decorated for Christmas. One more last thing to mention: Christmas with the Winds. That's the Oxford Winds concert band, Friday, November 24th. You can find out more information on their Oxford Winds Facebook page, but it's at the Knox Church on Riddell Street. Tickets are $10 in advance and $15 at the door.
Thank you. Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
I'm going to make it short because I am hitting the road very early tomorrow morning for a family vacation, so I will not be here next week for the budget meetings. Ms. Humphries did let me know I could come in virtually, but I'm actually going to be at the Raptors game in Orlando that night. So I'm sorry, I have to go cheer my Raptors on. So just a couple of quick things. There's lots going on, of course. So I'm going to let the other councillors who will be able to attend those promote those. But I'm sad to be missing out on all the festivities this weekend, especially our friends from Sylvania, Ohio, the sister city that's coming up to visit. I was looking forward to getting to see them again, but unfortunately that won't be able to happen for me. We have Smile Cookies happening right now for Tim Hortons, and Big Brothers Big Sisters is getting 50% of those proceeds. It went over so well that by Tuesday, Wednesday, all of the stores had sold out of the actual sugar cookie that they were doing this year. So if you didn't get one yet, you might not get one in this area, unfortunately, but it's been very well, and thank you to everybody that's helped out with that. I'm sure many people remember Dr. Munnick. Dr. Munnick was my family doctor for many, many years. He was actually my grandparents' doctor for close to 45 years. He sadly passed away last week. Of course, his wife, Margaret Munnick, is the former mayor of Woodstock. Dr. Munnick was a great man. If there's one thing I remember, it's his distinction. He had that very Scottish personality. I remember going to his office as a kid, and in one of his offices was just all these photos of him with different politicians and dignitaries of over the years, because one of his children worked in the parliament. So my sincere condolences to Dr. Munnick's family. When my grandfather passed away, he actually came to the house to pay his respects because my grandfather passed away at home. So, and speaking of that, I was going to try really hard not to get emotional. Everyone appreciate the Purina Christmas tree this year. As many of you know, Purina at Cargill will be closing. And this might be our last year enjoying that tree, which has so much family history, as my grandfather started that tradition. So enjoy it. I'm going on vacation. Have a great time.
Thank you. Councillor Tate.
First off, I want to offer my congratulations to our city engineer on becoming a grandfather, his little baby. Parker from Harold has a wonderful family, and it is a miracle what has happened. So considering what's gone on, so I'm very happy for you. I'll leave the other announcements for the people that can speak. This council is very engaged, so I don't have to say this for this council because everybody pays attention to county, but for the public, please pay attention to our budget procedure and our motions and our meetings, as the county has presented a budget that's 15.3% increase and 41 new staff positions. So I think it's very important for the public to be aware of what's going on across the street. There doesn't seem to be enough attention paid to it, but that greatly affects the taxpayers here. And once again, I have to say my appreciation for the staff here that for the city that are always very budget conscious and aware that the burden on the taxpayer. And I just hope everybody pays attention to across the street. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Lauder.
Thank you. This is probably one of the very few meetings that I haven't had an announcement from the art gallery, but They, they've had a lot of openings and a lot going on there, and there's still a lot going on. It's just not an opening, and it's all special. So, but there is lots happening throughout the whole city, and no one should be bored. And I just want to say welcome to Sylvania people coming here this weekend. We had a great time when we were visiting Sylvania, and I hope that they will have the same here. And the only other thing is the Corlairs concert is on December the 9th at Knox Church at 3 o'clock. So there's tickets, they're $25, I think it is. And so they're expecting to have a nice crowd. So, and with that, I'll say good night.
Thank you. I will add for the art gallery, Senator Bovee was in town last week, and that was a couple of nights of great. So, Councillor Leatherwell.
Okay, so yeah, holiday season's on our brains. So obviously lighting of Museum Square tomorrow night and the Christmas parade on Saturday, as well as festive shopping fun, the downtown Woodstock BIA. This will be December 8th, 9th, 15th, and 16th. Free Christmas photos with Santa. And head to the website to check out more details around times and things like that. I'm really excited about more free parking and times so people can come downtown Woodstock, but also do keep in mind local this holiday season. Of course, please come downtown to a lot of the shops, but across the city, there are so many mom and pops and local businesses. And I forget the percentage, but the more you spend in your community, the more it goes out to specifically your community. So I do challenge folks to do that. And the downtown Woodstock BIA has some really great plans for December.
Yes, for sure. Shop local. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Accioni. It is mid-November and it's exciting to see construction projects wrap up. I went up to Tavistock today to see Mayor Schaefer, and I went up Wellington Street. So great to see that one open. Then came back in and had to run some errands, went down Wilson Street. And I realized that that's a big change for a lot of people, but be patient. We will all figure out how that new alignment works. I would anticipate that the new lights at Van Sittert and Dundas will be done soon. And just a reminder that these short-term pains of construction really do improve our community long-term. They improve safety, they improve traffic flow, and that is our ultimate goal. My second point I wanted to make is back to a comment that I've heard recurring over the year that there's nothing to do in this city for youth. Well, there is something to do tomorrow for youth. It is a PD day. I know PA day, PD day. Okay. Well, I call it PD day. Someone needs to be professionally developed. And the city of Woodstock has PD day camps on tomorrow, and it might be too late to register for tomorrow, but there are always activities like this on the go. So keep your eye open for them if you're looking for something for your young camper to do. I know I'll be working at a day camp tomorrow with a bunch of little ones. So the third thing I wanted to mention is next Friday, that is November 24th, is the Safe and Well Oxford Summit. So if you have an interest in those 4 priorities that I mentioned earlier, in the Safe and Well Oxford plan. Registration is free. There are still a few seats left. It will be up at Cowan Park. So if you have an interest, don't hesitate to reach out and find out where that registration link is.
Thank you. And I will have a student, another grade 12 student from CAS with me again tomorrow for the day to spend the day and go around to meetings and everything else. I'm excited for that. It's kind of pretty cool. I've got a bit of a lineup now on PD days or PA days. I'm sorry, but I'm still PD days too from when my daughters went. But so I want to encourage anyone that if you know a student that wants to hang out for a day on a PA day to reach out to me. I really enjoy it, and it's a normal day as usual, whatever they can join in. I want to touch on Remembrance Day. It was the first opportunity I've had to stand up and speak at a Remembrance Day. I had one of those moments where I looked out on the crowd and was just overwhelmed. I just want to say thank you to everyone that attended. And I want to say thank you to staff again for putting up the banners. I really, truly believe that the Remembrance Day should be more than just one day or an hour of a month. And hats off to city staff for making that work. Of course, Friday night, it's been mentioned, around 5 o'clock, things start. 5:30, I believe the switch is going to be made for the lights on. So make sure you get down there to Museum Square. We'll be there, as well as the Santa Claus Parade, of course, 6 o'clock on Saturday with our friends from Savannah, Ohio. Will be here. They'll be enjoying the parade and festivities in our downtown. And I want to end with, I want to again say thank you to everyone for all your messages. Yes, my daughter had her baby girl. I am a grandfather. I am super, super excited to, over the moon excited. Sarah and I have been talking about this for obviously 9 months now, or 8 months that we've known, and it's just hard to believe she's here. So everyone is safe and healthy, and thank you everyone for all the messages. But I'm allowed to say now, yes, she is born. Waverly Rose is my granddaughter's name, and I couldn't be happier. And with that, we'll look for an adjournment. Councilor Wismer, second by Councilor Schattenberg. All those in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.